Just when fans thought the Daytona 500 had wrapped up with a clean finish, a shocking controversy erupted, one that left Kyle Busch furious and questioning NASCAR's integrity. Was Busch unfairly eliminated, or did NASCAR catch something the public didn't see? Here's what went down. Busch was left fuming after officials forced him out of the race, and he didn't hold back his frustration. He claimed he was denied a chance to re-enter the competition, not because of damage to his car, but because of NASCAR's strict damaged vehicle policy, DVP. According to Busch, he could have continued racing, but instead, he was parked due to what he called unfair enforcement of the rules. The drama unfolded when Busch's number 8 Chevrolet was caught in a late race wreck. While his car suffered some damage, he insisted it wasn't enough to keep him from competing. But NASCAR had other plans, citing their policy and refusing to let him back in. But is there more to this story? Was Busch right, or did NASCAR have a legitimate reason to shut him down? Stick around, because NASCAR's official response just made things even more controversial. Busch's frustration wasn't about losing, but how it happened. With 15 laps left in the Daytona 500, a massive crash sent his number 8 Chevy into the wall, wrecking it. All 4 tires went flat, forcing him to wait for a tow. Though his team repaired the car, NASCAR ultimately parked him. Busch was stunned. He had followed protocol, and his team had done everything necessary to get the car back in shape. Yet NASCAR still wouldn't let him rejoin the race. That's when things got even more confusing. According to Busch, officials told him that returning to the work area meant automatic disqualification, which didn't sit right with him. He argued that if his team repaired the car within the allowed time, he should continue, but NASCAR cited the damaged vehicle policy, DVP, for his removal. Frustrated, Busch criticized the contradiction. Teams are told to repair cars, but punished for needing a tow. Fans were divided, some siding with Busch, while others felt he was simply unlucky. But is it bad luck, or is there a loophole somewhere in the vastly tangled words of NASCAR's damaged vehicle policy? The controversy didn't stop there, as NASCAR's responses to the backlash would add to the flames of the fire. While Busch was frustrated with NASCAR's decision, veteran driver Denny Hamlin explained the rule. The damaged vehicle policy, DVP, states that once a car leaves the garage, it must meet the minimum speed or be removed from the race. Hamlin suggested Busch misunderstood, as NASCAR didn't change the rule but enforced it strictly, fueling Busch's frustration. As the backlash grew, NASCAR's senior vice president of competition, Elton Sawyer, addressed Busch's claims directly. In a bombshell statement, Sawyer reaffirmed that the DVP rules had not undergone any major changes for 2024. The only difference? NASCAR added 1 extra minute for repairs, bringing the total repair time to 7 minutes. But the biggest takeaway from Sawyer's response? NASCAR confirmed that once a car goes to the garage, it gets only 1 chance to return. If a car needs to go back again, regardless of whether it's still functional, it's immediately done for the day. This explanation didn't do much to calm Busch's frustrations, as he believed his car should have been given another chance. However, Sawyer stood firm, emphasizing that the rule is about fairness and safety. NASCAR doesn't want teams pushing damaged cars beyond their limits just to stay in the race. Busch's supporters argued that his situation exposed a flaw in the DVP. His car was fully repaired, so why wasn't he allowed to continue? Others felt that Busch's frustration was just part of the sport. Rules don't always work in your favor, and every driver has to deal with it at some point.
Hate it for all of our guys on the Zone Chevrolet. We had a fast car, and we were in position and just kind of biding our time and seeing what was going to happen next. And
no matter which side fans took, NASCAR's ruling sent a clear message. The DVP is here to stay, and drivers will have to adapt. But with this much controversy, could NASCAR be pressured to tweak the rule before the next big race? This DVP policy was put in place to maintain fairness without being personal against Busch, and was also able to keep teams from misusing the system. The policy was intended as a safeguard against repeated trips back and forth to the garage for minute repairs, before eventually leading to the inevitable conclusion at the end of the race. NASCAR had multiple meetings with drivers and crews to clarify the DVP, ensuring full understanding by all teams from the time before the season was underway. It was understood by all teams that once a car goes into the garage and comes back out onto the track, there will be no second chance. The unfortunate circumstance surrounding Busch was acknowledged by Sawyer, but he stood behind that decision based on the written rule. The DVP ruling wasn't the only hubbub surrounding the Daytona 500 either. Fans and drivers alike had something to say about how the race ended. One of the biggest questions? Why did NASCAR not throw a caution flag on the penultimate lap? NASCAR's Elton Sawyer defended the call, saying the goal for an event termination is to finish the race under green flag conditions. Instead of stopping for a minor incident, the access is fully devoted to allowing drivers to compete for victory. Fans began to question whether the race could have ended up differently after the last lap crash between Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric. Still, despite the controversy, William Byron was crowned king, and NASCAR confirmed later that although officials stood by their decision, they would still review the process to see if any changes were needed for future races. The clear mandate for NASCAR in justifying its decision-making was that it must weave both competition and entertainment into its storyline while keeping safety paramount. The need for split-second decisions features in the senior VP of competition, Elton Sawyer's, explanation. In this case, the officials stood by their choice. Reiterated, safety crews are always on standby. They are, however, deployed when it is deemed necessary. But in keeping with bringing races to an exciting conclusion and not halting one from anticipating the next storyline, in other words, not creating unnecessary interruptions in the flow of competition, NASCAR felt the finish to the Daytona 500 should make that could be at the green flag. NASCAR's no personal business with Busch in enforcing the damaged vehicle policy, DVP, as it is. It is to make it fair and to prevent teams from milking the system. Teams should be somewhat prevented from taking small repairs. That way, they are just going back and forth to the garage, prolonging the race. NASCAR had multiple meetings with the drivers and crews before the beginning of the season to make clear the DVP. It has been told to all teams that once a car goes into the garage and comes back out to the track, there is no second chance at all. The situation regarding Busch was unfortunate, said Sawyer, but standing behind the decision, he said that the rule was followed as written. The controversy was finished, though, for the DVP ruling. Not just fans, but also drivers were afflicted with how this race ended. The biggest question? Why did NASCAR not throw a caution flag on the penultimate lap? NASCAR's Elton Sawyer defended the call, saying the goal ended up being finishing races under green flag conditions. Instead of stopping the race for a minor incident, NASCAR allows drivers to race for it all. However, it left many fans questioning whether or not the race should have concluded differently following the accident during the final lap with Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric. Although despite the entire question, Crowned was declared champion of the race, and NASCAR later confirmed that officials stand firmly by decisions, but will still review the process to determine if any adjustments are warranted in future races. So, they were defending their decision-making as competition and entertainment balanced with safety. As NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition Elton Sawyer explained, officials have to make split-second decisions. In this case, they stood by their choices. Safety crews are always ready when called in, Sawyer emphasized. But NASCAR also wanted to keep races exciting without causing unnecessary interruptions in the flow of competition. The reason for holding the Daytona 500 to finality under green was this. Still, NASCAR doesn't ignore criticism. Every race is reviewed post-event to analyze decisions and improve future officiating. Officials will re-examine how the DVP was enforced on Busch and whether changes need to be made regarding late race caution calls. But the debate isn't just happening in NASCAR headquarters. Fans are divided. Some argue that Kyle Busch was unfairly eliminated due to a technicality that should be revised. Others believe that NASCAR was simply enforcing the rules as written, and Busch's team should have been more aware. Similarly, opinions differ on whether a caution should have been thrown in the closing laps. Some believe it could have altered the race outcome, while others think NASCAR made the right call by letting the drivers decide the finish. So, was Busch's elimination unfair? Did NASCAR make the right call by keeping the race green? The controversy remains, and only time will tell if NASCAR makes adjustments in response to the backlash. So, what do you think? Was Kyle Busch unfairly eliminated, or was NASCAR just following the rulebook? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more shocking NASCAR updates. See you in the next one.